Hi there, welcome back to Lice with Francis. I'm back with another video that I want to share a real story that happened a few years ago at my lice clinic. I just want to let you guys know that these stories are for educational purposes only. And today we're going to talk about what happens when lice goes untreated properly for years, because these people were treating, but they weren't treating properly. And this went on for years. We're going to talk about what happens when you allow things to go on for so long, okay? Not too long ago, an elderly woman walked into my lice clinic. She had been suffering with lice for what I can only guess was for years, because that's how it appeared to be. She had tried home remedies, she had tried over the counter treatments, prescriptions, and she even had her daughters come over and help her treat. But nothing was working. She had nurses that visited her in her home for whatever health complications that she had. Nurses came out on a regular basis. And she had several nurses who knew about the lice, and there was only one who tried to help her treat it. This elderly lady was scheduled to have surgery, and the surgery center, they knew about her lice, and they just said there's no way that she can come in here with lice. And so the lice has to be taken care of before we can schedule her for her surgery. And this surgery was much needed. So they sent one of the nurses out to try and treat her. She treated her to the best of her ability, but she knew that it was way too much for her. She knew that this was a job for the professionals. And thankfully, she knew about my lice clinic because she had already brought her children in before and herself. And so she said, hey, this is beyond me being able to help you, but I do know of a place that can take care of this for you. Let me give you their number. And that was how she came across me. And so she came into my office, and that was how it all started. And her surgery center was very adamant. They were very clear that she must have documentation saying that she's cleared. She must also go to her follow up. And they wanted to have all these documents before they would schedule her surgery. And I hear all the time from nurses that come into my office that the main thing that scare them is lice and scabies. And so normally whenever they send someone out to treat a patient with lice, that it usually freaks them out. And so she was very eager to say, here, go to these people. They do this every day. Go there. Even though she tried to help her to the best of her ability, it does really scare a lot of nurses. We just hear that all the time when they come into our office, when they're bringing their own children in. They say, oh, yeah, as soon as they say someone has lice, we freak out. I was looking at some of the lice footage that I've recorded in my office yesterday, and my head just began itching like crazy. So I totally understand why they feel the way that they do. So when she sat in my chair, I was a bit taken back because the way her knits were, there was like several on each strand all the way down to the end of her hair. She had a head full of hair, it's very thick, and it was just covered all the way around. So whenever it's like that, the hair becomes extremely stiff. And so to hold it, it feels like straw, like it just feels very hard and like straw. I knew that she had to have it for a long time, and I felt, my heart just went out to her because I know it's been miserable for her to be an elderly woman trying to treat herself. That's a lot of stress on a person, and so I was just happy to be able to help her. She was so grateful. And that's one thing I really love about this business is that we get a lot of people who are just so grateful. I almost hear on a daily, thank you for existing. I hear that all the time. Thank you for existing. And that just makes me feel great that I'm able to help people who have been suffering with this for a long time, and they just need some relief. And I'm just happy to be able to give them that relief. And so this lady here, she was extremely grateful. But upon looking through her hair more and more, and as I begin to comb, I will say this: whenever someone's hair has that many knits and it's so stiff, you have to start at the bottom of the hair. You cannot start up here. It's going to hurt. It's going to rip out hair and all of that. So you have to take tiny little sections and you start down at the bottom and just work your way up. You have to just continue combing down at the end, and then you work your way up, work your way up, work your way up until you get to the top of their hair. And so this process can take a very long time. It's very tedious and it can be very costly. However, we will get it all out. Just be patient. And she was very patient with us, and she just said, however long it takes. I don't care. I've been dealing with this for so long. I'm just ready to get it taken care of. I noticed that she only had maybe like two bugs in her hair, two actual lice in her hair. The rest was all nits. So I know that she had been treating with some type of chemical, but she was doing absolutely no combing. And combing, people don't realize that combing is the key to getting rid of lice. You cannot just dump chemicals on your hair constantly and never remove the nits. That's how it appeared to me. I did talk to her about it. She said she did very little combing, and so that was why there were so many nits, and they just accumulated over all that time, and it was just clusters, and it was so many. And I'll probably insert a video showing you guys, not this lady's case, but there was a case that me and this and someone else who works with me, who we were treating these sisters, and theirs was similar to this, not quite as extreme, but it was very close. And I'll probably kind of show you guys what I mean by how it is when you start at the bottom and work your way up, because that's what we had to do. I think this video was showing one of the girls who works at the office is showing her combing through a little girl's hair, and she's starting at the bottom and just being very gentle, because it can be painful when it's that many nits. It really feels like it's pulling, and so you just have to be really gentle, especially with kids. And I will say that as I was combing, nits were everywhere. Okay. And this is the second time that I've had this happen, to where the nits were literally, I never knew how painful it is when someone has that many nits and you're combing through their hair. And I don't care how far you stand back, because I had learned to stand back so these things don't land on me. But when it's this many nits, it's like, say like you just have a whole bunch of sand that you dump on someone's head. And so when you start to comb, it starts to fly on you. And so that is exactly what was happening. It was just landing like on my chest. I had like a V-shaped scrub on that day, and that they were just landing on my chest. And it felt like just sand, just someone was just throwing sand at me, and it was just hurting. And it would land on my arms. And I just remember being very itchy afterwards, and just really, rushing to get into the shower. Nits were everywhere, like all over the chair, all over the floor. And I'll probably insert a video of the cleanup process that went on after that, but it was crazy. So once we finished up, like I said, she was so happy. She even gave me a hug. She cried, okay? And she was just like, I will never forget you. Like, I will never forget you. She even called, a couple of times after that to thank me again. But she also called because she wanted to know, had the hospital called her to check up on the procedure to make sure that she was clear. I said yes, they did. They called a couple of times to make sure that you did come to your appointment, that I was able to clear you. They also wanted to make sure that you came in for your follow-up visit. I gave her the documentation, but they still called for whatever reason. I think they were pretty much really, like I said, I hear all the time that lice does freak a lot of people out. So they just wanted to be clear. They wanted to make sure, they wanted to talk to me personally and make sure that she had been taken care of. And they also wanted to see if I felt like she could go ahead and have surgery. I reassured them that yes, she is totally lice free. I went through her hair section by section, small, tiny little sections, and we spent hours on her, and she is completely lice free. You can go ahead and start the surgery. And so they went on with the surgery. And like I said, she even called again to express her gratitude. And this story reminds me of why I do what I do. I love to help people. I've even had a 91-year-old lady once. I might even tell that story one day. But yeah, I just love just being able to help those who are in need. That is one of my things to do. Like, I just have a heart for people in general. So you can see that lice is not just a little school thing. It's not just a little elementary school thing. It affects everyday people, real people in real life altering ways. Sometimes they just need someone who's not afraid and someone who has the skill, the patience, and a heart to help. So if you know anyone who's struggling with lice, don't be afraid to reach out. You can also order products. They're below this video. They will help you. They are all natural, organic, and they're safe for you to use. And so they actually work. Just follow the instructions to a T and you will do fine. And if you enjoyed this story, please share it with someone. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And please hit the notification bell so that you can tell when I upload a video. They will notify you. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video when I have another story to tell you.